Okay, welcome back. As you can see, I finished the rib part, and I got what was going to be just a horseshoe or a ring turned into something a little bit different. I was inspired. I was playing around, and I didn't like the way it was coming out, so I wanted to try something different. And that's what's great about just kind of working from a very fluid concept mesh. You can add some really different things. Now, in case you're curious as to how this is done, I simply drew a curve using my CV curve tool, and then grab some faces here, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about here. And with these faces selected, I simply shift selected the curve, and let me zoom out so we can get a better look here. I'm using my stylus. I'm not used to using styluses with Maya. So I grab those faces, I shift selected the curve, and I hit extrude, and you can see it pops right to the end of the curve. So we go into our inputs here and go to divisions, and middle mouse drag. Of course, we'll add divisions to this extrusion, and just taper it down. And then I simply went in and grabbed every other row of faces and just gave it some extrudes just to kind of give it some visual interest. But it's just one of those things. I thought it actually might look cool as kind of like a flow of almost like a muscular flow that kind of goes with the rotation of the ribs there. So I just thought it was kind of neat, and I think it'll interact well with the rest of the robot here. Now, one more thing before we go to the torso. I know eventually we'll get there, I promise. But right here, I wanted to have a little more stuff here. If you look here in this leg, it looks very, very bare. Even with the tubing, it's lacking some solidity. So I want to have basically two little ribs here, essentially ribs, I guess you can call them ribs, and a panel that goes across here. Okay, just to kind of give it some armor. One assumes this is a very important part of the robot. It attaches the legs to the body, so it should be protected in some sense. So I'm going to create some armor for that. Now, I want to show you really fast, by the way, about these rings, as you can see them. I actually wanted to create pipes at first, but then I decided to give it a few more divisions. But just in case, this is one of those little weird things that I didn't really notice about ZBrush. But you look here in the primitives, there's no pipe to choose from. Like in Maya, for example, you can choose a pipe. But with rings, you can just go down to the Initialize tab down here, and you can do a number of really cool things to any of the shapes, of course. But for Initialize, for example, for rings, for example, to get to a pipe, you simply go to your S divides and knock it down to 4, and you're getting closer, right? But the edge is still not flat. And this is where the initial twist comes in. Knock it up to 45 degrees, and you have yourself a pipe. Now, what I wanted was not a full pipe, but like a 2/3 pipe or a 3/4 pipe. And you can do that very easily as well, just by going here to the coverage, which is like the end swoop, like in the NURBS, for example, and just crank this down, and you're good to go. Okay, so that's what I did, and I made 2 of them, and I brought them into my little guy here. So let's find once again my robot. There he is. Now let's take a look at him. Okay, so what I want to do is, like I said, create a flap, like a piece of armor that goes across here. What I'm going to do is create something like this, basically, just a piece of armor that kind of goes across here. Then I can then play around with and add some doodads to, and kind of tweak a little bit. That's my goal here. Okay, so to do that, and you might think it's easy, and it actually is, but we need to have a piece of mesh to start from. And if we have something like this, which is a little bit tapered at the top, it's not necessarily the most straightforward thing. I mean, you can just grab a cylinder and taper it and then play around with it. But I want to show you, the other way of doing it, and this is something we've done already before, which is using a Z-sphere as a topology tool. So let's grab just the ring. Okay, so we have just our little ring here, and I want to grab a Z-sphere. So let's grab a Z-sphere. As soon as I can find a Z-sphere. I can't seem to find the Z-sphere. Hang on here. Okay, I found the Z-sphere. It was hiding. Got the Z-sphere. Okay, now I'm going to go down to rigging. I'm going to choose select mesh. I'm going to choose my ring, just a plain old ring, not the full robot, but just a Z tool itself, the ring. And now I'm going to go to topology and choose edit topology. Now again, we've done this before. It's really a simple matter of drawing out the topology you want. So I'm going to just click and click. I'm just going to make basically a 4-sided guy here, and then just click in the middle here and make it have one subdivision in the middle. That's all you're going to do. Hit Control to start somewhere else and just click across. Okay, so here I go. Just a few more. And we're almost there. So Very simple. I'm just going to click across to all these guys here and start from here, here, and just one more row. Okay. And then when we're done, we go over here to adaptive skin. I keep my density at 1 typically, and you give your skin some thickness. Let's say maybe 0.12 or so, and choose preview. And there's your adaptive skin, right? And it's already pretty much done. If you're happy with it, you just choose make adaptive skin, and you now have this skin Z-sphere piece that you can then append to your mesh. Okay, so and then you can go ahead and sculpt it to your heart's content. And that's really all there is to it. And that's what I have right here. I have this, and I just took that skin. I just I clipped it a little bit, and I extruded some faces out here essentially to give it a little bit more of a look. What I'm going to do in between videos, of course, I'm not going to have to make you poor people watch this, but I'm going to go in here and just tweak out a little bit, extract some layers to kind of make it fit in with the rest of this over here, just to kind of give it more of a feel of a flap than right now. It's kind of a little bit more of just a piece of piece of stuff sitting there. So I want to make it a little more flap-like, and all I'm going to do after that is I'm going to put something solid in here, like a big cylinder on its side that will essentially kind of just take up that space, and then we'll move on to the actual torso. So in between videos, I'm just going to trick out this a little bit, put something solid in here, and then we're going to start in this little area of the torso here. We're going to start extracting some pieces, giving us some armor, and really getting some detail on this guy. So we'll do the torso in the next video.